It was the kind of breakthrough that made headlines. An Iowa State University lab reporting it was on the verge of an HIV vaccine. Rabbits infected with HIV were showing an incredible reduction in the virus. It was a pathway to a cure, says the University of Washington's Dr. Ferris Fong.
This was in rabbits, but the hope was this kind of immune response and the way that these scientists were preparing their vaccine could lead to an effective vaccine for humans.
$14 million in federal grant money flowed to support the research. Then a shock. The excitement, the possible AIDS vaccine, the results in those rabbits. It was all a fraud. This man, Iowa State University researcher, Assistant Professor Dong-Pyo Han, had made up the results, contaminating the infected rabbit blood with healthy human blood, making it appear the rabbits were developing an immunity to AIDS. The alleged fraud uncovered in a scientific trap. Researchers at Harvard trying to verify Han's findings were the ones who discovered human blood was mixed in with rabbit blood. The findings, according to the criminal complaint, were secretly given to the National Institutes of Health and Iowa State's top researcher and Han's boss, Dr. Michael Cho. It was Cho, prosecutors say, who set up an elaborate trap, trying to determine who on his staff was faking results. He asked for additional blood samples, and the sample supplied by Dr. Han was contaminated. $14 million of federal taxpayer money supporting Han's research has been wasted, and the federal government has charged Han with fraud.
Just because somebody has a PhD, just because somebody's involved in the scientific community, doesn't mean that they're going to be treated necessarily any different than anyone else who commits a criminal offense.
Iowa State University fired Han immediately, and a spokesperson says the school is trying to restore a reputation for integrity that Han's phony research destroyed.
It's not the kind of headline that you want to see, that this has occurred in your institution. I think the reaction here initially and even later on was disbelief, surprise, shock, disappointment.
As a taxpayer, you may be wondering something else. Where's the $14 million in taxpayer-funded research money? In short, it's gone. According to Retraction Watch, a group that tracks research fraud, scientists who fake research rarely go to prison and hardly ever are forced to pay back taxpayers. Dr. Dong-Pyo Han, who now lives in Cleveland, supposedly with his parents, issued an apology before he entered a not guilty plea. "I was foolish, coward, and not frank," he writes in a letter. "My misconduct is not done in order to hurt someone." But he remains elusive. At an apartment listed as his address, there is no answer. And contacted through his cell phone, the once respected Dr. Han had little to say.
Hello.
Dr. Han.
Yes, sir.
Yes, this is Drew Griffin with CNN calling. How are you today?
Oh, I'm fine.
I wonder if we could, we're doing a story on the whole incident that happened in Iowa and trying to get comment from you for a story that we are producing.
I'm sorry, sir. I cannot tell you about this. I'm sorry.
Do you have any explanation as to why you did it?
I'm sorry, sir. I can't tell you, sir. Sorry.
The University of Washington's Dr. Fong says fraud in scientific research remains extremely rare, and there's a good reason, especially when the research involves alleged breakthroughs in medical cures.
The person who committed this act, according to the information that I have, really didn't think things through, because I completely agree. Once you get everybody excited about something that you have that's a breakthrough for something like an AIDS vaccine, the end of the road is going to mean that this vaccine is going to be developed and given to other animals, tested by other laboratories, given to people, and if it doesn't work, it's all going to fall apart. So this kind of fraud eventually had to fail.
If found guilty on all 4 counts against him, the government says Han faces up to 20 years in prison and a $1 million fine.